Puga. Okay, good day everyone. Today we will discuss about the art history, which is the Mannerism, Baroque, Rococo Romanticism, Impressionism, Art Nouveau, Constructivism, this style of art and pop art, minimalism and conceptualism and installation art. These are the different types of art movement. Today, allow me to present to you our team members, which is Mark James Tulanas, Rolirata Norben, Dominis Earl Clifford, and Harry Kila. The first presenter will be given to you by Dominis Earl Clifford.
Good day, sir. So this is what I am going to present to you. The Mannerism. Also known as a late Renaissance, Mannerism comes from the Italian word maneria, which means stylishness. This art movement refers to stylized, exaggerated approach in painting and sculpture. Mannerist artists stress the individual way of painting, the personal vision and pictorial understanding of things, which is a concept of individualism. As you can see in this example, the Madonna with long neck, also known as Madonna and long child with angels in Saint Jerome, is an Italian Mannerist oil painting by Parmigianino dating from 1535 to 1540 and depicting Madonna and child with angels. So what makes it a perfect representation of Mannerism? As you can see, Mary is holding the baby, Jesus. Mary has a long swan-like neck. As you can also notice, the length of her fingers and shoulder and the oversized Jesus. These extended body features are typical of Mannerism. Next is the Baroque. Baroque comes from the Portuguese word barroco, which means irregular, pearl, or stone. The theme of its painting and sculptures are still religious. However, more of the elements from the Catholic dogma, Baroque art, is characterized by drama, movement, energy, and restlessness. So one of the example is the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa. It is a sculpture. It is a sculptural group in white marble set in elevated in the Cornaro Chapel of the Church of Santa Maria della Vittoria in Rome. So what makes it a perfect representation of Baroque art? The sculpture of the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa embodies the Baroque style since it depicts the most dramatic moment in the saint's life and appeals to the idea that God is light. So its iconography exemplifies the Baroque style. In her autobiography, Saint Teresa writes about having a dream in which an angel appears in front of her surrounded by light. Next. Third is the Rococo. Rococo is a continuation of Baroque, but in a lighter, more graceful tone and has more decorative effect. Rococo, the word rocaille, meaning shell. Artists would mix seashells, pebbles, and other organic elements to create a naturalistic inspired work. Rococo art is a French style distinguished because of its elaborately designed artworks that aim to please rather than to instruct. The paintings were detail-oriented, ornate, and elaborately decorative in a pastel tone. So, one of the best example here is the Embarkation of Cytherea. The Embarkation of Cytherea is a painting by the French painter Jean-Antoine Watteau It is also known as a voyage to Cytherea and pilgrimage to the Isle of Cytherea. Watteau submitted this work to the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture as his reception piece in 1717. So what makes it a perfect representation of Rococo? At the time, pilgrimage to Cytherea was particularly distinctive artwork. We're coming from a time when art was heavy, had incredibly sharp lines, and contrasted very strongly between light and dark. The aristocrats are shown in pilgrimage to Cytherea, traveling to an island where they can fall in love in a dreamlike scene. In 1717, everything feels brand new. When looking at the trees, clouds, and landscape, you'll notice the individual strokes. The painterly style gives its kind of an airy feel. It feels like feathery and flowy, a perfect scene for the couples to fall in love.
Okay, that's all the first three example of the art movement. Now let's proceed to the next presenter will be given up to you by Mark James Dulanas.
Okay, good day. What is Romanticism? Romanticism was an artistic, literary, musical, and intellectual movement that originated in Europe towards the end of the 18th century. And in the most areas what is peak in the approximate period from 1800 to 1850. The characteristic of the Romanticism is marked by the six primary characteristics: celebration of nature, focus on the individual and spirituality, celebration of isolation and melancholy, interest in the common man, idealization of women, and the personifications and pathetic fallacy. One of the best examples is Eugene de la Cruz by Liberty Leading the People. And this painting characterized by its allegorical and political significance. This large oil on canvas has become a universal symbol of liberty and democracy, often used in popular culture to symbolize people emancipation from oppressive dominations. And it is one of the most famous paintings during the era. The De la Cruz wrote in the letter to his brother that he could not fight for his country, he could at least paint for France. And this painting served as political poster from the revolution. And the idea was the people would sympathize with the freedom fighter in this painting. What is Impressionism? Impressionism was inspired by Monet painting Impressionism's Sunrise. It's developed in France in the 19th century as a rebellion against conventional and academic standards. Manierist art is characterized by the use of vibrant and fresh color and the favor of spontaneity. Artists paint outdoors to capture the natural color and light. Manierist refers on the spot painting rather than a painting in studio. One of the best example here, the title Woman with a Parasol by Madame Monet and her son in 1875. And this art is Impressionism was captured or featured the landscape painting. A subject Monet favored in a woman with a parasol. Madame Monet and her son. His skill as a figure painter is clearly evident. Woman with a parasol was painted outdoor. Probably it's a single session is several hours durations. And the artist intended the work to convey the feelings and a casual family outing rather than a formal portrait. And the use pose and refreshment to suggest that his wife and son interrupted their stroll while the capture. Their likeness, although mock represent his work formal association with art. And the third, what is in your mind? What is the Art Nouveau? Art Nouveau was a compelling and energetic style in the visual arts which spanned from around the early 1890s to the First World War. Art Nouveau artists inspired by the plant forms and the nature took organic subjects and flattered and abstracted them into sophisticated, sinuous, and flowing motifs. It is an international styles of art, architectures, and applied art, especially the decorative arts. It includes great variety of the decorative arts like painting, graphic arts, interior design, and jewelry and furniture and texture, ceramics, glass art, and even the metal work. One of the best example is Alphonse Mocha Ribéry. This painting recognizable work features beautiful woman with a long tendril of hair and flowing garments surrounded by decorative botanical motifs in delicate shape of which gold, ochre, and iodinel. Although Mocha is represented his work format associated with Art Nouveau, it is to him represented a unique contemporary rather than timeless movement. The egalitarian nature of the poster was instrumental in popularizing an aesthetic that so may become known as simple as daily mocha.
So next is constructivism. Constructivism is an artistic philosophy was started in Russia in 1913 by Vladimir Tatlin, who rejected the idea of autonomous thought. He wanted to construct art by advocating the philosophy that it is a practice for social purposes. Constructivists are focused on industrial production. Constructivists use stripped-down geometry forms and modest materials. Their visual language consisted of forms that they could draw with practical instruments like compasses and rulers. The best example of this art movement is the El Lissitzky Crown, Rome in 1923. As you can see the image, the installation of dynamic abstract forms appeared is to be floating, no? Pakita na ito murag naglutaw, then which are meant to activate the viewer, propelling them around the space. Murag nata sa space nga out of the panyod sa earth. Murag naglutaw ang mga object nga makita, no? So, muna ang constructivism. Then, makita po nato diri nga kasagarang ginagamit niya is more on geometrical shape, no? Geometrical forms. It's just like a modest materials nga ginagamit niya. So next, the art movement is this style. This style is considered as the most idealistic of the abstract movement, founded in Amsterdam in 1917 by painters Piet Mondrian and Theo van Doesburg and the architect Jacobius Johannes Peter Oud. It is a style of art where based on a strict geometry of horizontals and verticals. This style, also known as Neoplasticism, was a famous modern art form valued abstraction and simplicity. Clean lines, right angles, and primary colors characterize this aesthetic and art movement expressed via architecture and paintings. So the best picture described of this art movement is the Piet Mondrian, the composition number 4 with red, blue, and yellow in 1929. No? Pakita na to sa image ng grabe kanit and clean ang yang art, no? Which is even kini siya is murag color represented as color and represented by color and different geometric signs. The rectangular form. So makita nato ang yung mga different color po do yan diagrams formed. So next is the op art or optical art. It's an artistic movement that flourished during the 1960s that practiced more overt exploitation of the physiology of seeing. In optical art, the recognizable object is eliminated in favor of geometric abstraction, and the experience is primarily visual. Optical artists produce moving or motion effect by using an arrangement of elements like color, lines, shapes of combinations of these elements. So one of these example is the Universal Visual Language by Victor Versarelli. It is widely considered as one of the forefathers of optical art movement. So Victor struggled to create this universal language because could understood by everyone. The French Hungarian artist sought to produce an engaging approach to art was deeply social. He managed to accomplish this through geometric abstraction which gave birth to short-lived movement of the optical art. So, ang represent ni Candere, Victor Versarelli is the universal visual language, As you can see the image where have a four balls in different corners. Makita nga upat kabuk. Ang first, ang globe is represent the first how kay concepts. Nang first niya nga circle is represent as globe, Then ang kanang mga colors nga red is representing as the one language nga gigamit, even nagkalagi-lagi man silang places or different nation, but as the representing of colors nga red as gikuan nga visual niya nga one language siya ang ginagamit sa entire nation around the globe. Next art movement is the pop art, which is art movement that emerged in the United Kingdom and the United States during the mid to late 1950s. The movement presented a challenge to tradition of fine art by including imagery from popular and mass culture, such as advertising, comic books, and mundane mass-produced objects. So one of the examples of this art movement is the Regent TV by Kate Herrings in 1990. So perhaps one of the most recognizable image from Herring's work is the Regent TV's example of a simple outline of a baby or person crawling on the floor on their hands and knees, with lines emanating from them. Herring himself has commented that for him, this baby represents youthful innocence, purity, and goodness. As we can see the image, makita natin yun ang yung positive energy sa yung artwork. The next presenter will be given up to you by Mr. Norvin Rolirata.
Good day, everyone. I'm about to discuss the topic minimalism. Minimalism is an artistic movement in painting and sculpture, where the essence of theory, the artist's role in the work, is kept to an apparent minimum to give it a completely literal presence. This results in an extremely simple and pure form, reducing the art to an stereistic to its medium with a deliberate lack of expressive content. Minimalism or minimalist art can be seen as extended the abstract idea that should have its own reality and not be an imitation of some other thing. Minimalism is an extreme form of art movement developed in the United States of America in the 1960s and typified by works composed of a simple geometric shape based on the triangle, square, and the rectangle. Like for example, the Capitalist Butterfly by Brett Collard. Capitalist Butterfly is a perfect example of the minimalism because it has a minimal design and there is no logic applied. What you see is what you see. Capital Butterfly is also consisting of shapes of squares and rectangles, and it has a minimal color of blue, red, green, and orange. The next topic that I will discuss is the conceptualism or conceptual art. Conceptualism is an art which emerges out of the growing investigation into Western artland, the political and economic institutions that support it. It was an attack on the visual formalism on the 1950s and 1960s. It advances the notion that the percept or ideas involved in the work take precedence over the traditional aesthetic, technical, and material concerns. Conceptualism downplays the dependence upon the craft skill of the artist, but emphasizes the character of the relationship between the artist's ideas and the material facts of the world. Conceptual art, for which is an idea or a concept behind the work, is more important than finished art object. The conceptual art, in which the idea concept presented by the artist is considered more important than its appearance or execution. The perfect example of the conceptual art is the secret painting, because the concept is there, but we cannot see no painting because it is secret, and the artist is the one who know what are the content of the painting. The last topic that to be discussed is the installation art. Installation art is an artistic genre of the three-dimensional works that are often site-specific and designed to transform the perception in a space. Installation art varies widely, but generally it is placed on the viewer's experience of the work. Installation artworks often aim to transform the viewer's perception of the space, making them very immersive. The term installation art is used to describe large-scale, mixed-media construction, often designed into a specific place for a temporary period of time. The art movement known as installation art includes everything from live space sculptures made of recycled materials and room-sized displays to light and sound experience inside the art gallery. So, the perfect example of the installation art is the biographies of Alicia Martin, because it is made of books, recycled books, and the process of making it is to install the books. Biographies also is a three-dimensional object, and it is made of recycled materials like books, and the size of a biography is a life-size art.
Okay, that's all po. Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you learned a lot of this discussion. Thank you and have a good day everyone.